Hello soulmates, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and if you are new to this channel you are highly welcome. In today's tutorial I will be teaching you how to cut and sew this strap sleeve long gown with a side slit and ruffles design. So that's the best way I can describe this gown. So if this is a tutorial you're interested in, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and let's get right into the tutorial. So guys, for the material I'm using a crepe material and I have about 2.5 yards here. So I'll be using a freehand method to draft this. So I'll be cutting directly on my fabric. So now I folded my fabric into two, so I want to cut the front. So I folded this into two. So this is the lower part, like the M part of the gown. So I want to straighten this lower part, so that's the line I'm rolling over there. So that line will be the end point, like the end line of my gown, if there is something like that. So I'll measure 2 inches for the hemming. So that's the 2 inches up there. That first line I ruled, I'll cut that part away because that part is not straight. So this is the hemming allowance I'm adding 2 inch. You can actually use 1 inch, but I'm adding 2 inches. So now I will measure the length of my gown depending on how long you want your gown to be. I think I use a length of about 58 or 57 inches. Then I located my knee length, so that's my knee length over there, which is 38. So I'm just locating that. So that's my knee length over there. Then I'll move this downward because my table is not that wide. So let me move it downward. Then I'll continue to measure the other measurements that I need. So guys, this is my knee length. So I'll place the tape on 38 inches. My knee length is 38 inches. Then I'll place this upward like this. So I still need to adjust this down so that you guys can see. Let me still move this downward a little bit. So right there I'll locate my waist measurement. That's my half length. So it is 15.5. So that's the point I'm marking there. Then I'll count 8 inches downward to locate my hip length. So that's what I usually do. My hip is 8 inches below my waist measurement. So that's the point. So that point, this point now is my hip length, like my hip line. Then this one here is my half length. So that's my half length is 15.5. My hip is, that's 8 plus 15.5, that's 23.5. So place your tape on this again. Then you locate your armhole. No, you locate your bust first. My bust is 9 inches, so that's the point there. Then you locate your upper bust. So the upper bust is also called the chest line. So my upper bust is 6, but right here I'm marking 5.5. This is because I'll be aiming with half, like I'll be joining this with half inch. So if I want to fix the ruffles at the shoulder, at that part rather, I'll be fixing it with half inch. So that's why I measured 5.5. So just deduct half inch from your upper bust. So the second line after it is my armhole line. So you need that line too. So the first line there is my upper bust, the second one is my armhole line, the third one is my bust, my waist, my hip, my knee length down to the length of the gown. So the next thing I will do is to measure my bust divided by 4. Then I'll add my sewing allowance. So depending on the sewing allowance you want to use, you add it. So at the waist area also, I'll measure my waist divided by 4. I'll measure my waist divided by 4, then I will add my dart allowance and my sewing allowance. Remember, we are cutting directly on the fabric, so remember to add your sewing allowance to it. So my waist divided by 4, dart allowance 1 inch, and sewing allowance 1.5 inch. So that's what I have there. So at the hip area, I'll measure my hip divided by 4, and I'll add just the sewing allowance of 1.5. So now at this upper part here, depending on how wide you want that part to be, that's where the strap will be starting from, that strap sleeve that we have there. So I'm using 5.5 here. So I'm using 5.5. So that's what I measured there. So from that 5.5, I will connect it to the armhole, which I will be doing very soon. But let me connect my waist, my bust to my hip. Sorry, my bust to my waist and my waist to my hip. So that's what I'm doing right now. So now for this part here that I measured 5.5, I will blend it in. I'll blend it into the armhole. So that armhole is different from the bust area. So the bust is the line after the armhole. So the first line there is my chest line, which is also my upper bust. And I told you my upper bust is 6, but I use 5.5. So when I join, it will be back to 6 inches. When I join this, it will be back to 6 inches. So that half inch is just for the joining allowance over there. So this is what I have now. So the next thing I will do is to locate my dart. So my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2, so it's 3.5. So I will locate that there. Then I will just make my darts. So I'll roll a line at this point. So depending on how high I want the dart to be, but it must not get to my bust. So as you can see that it is about 1 inch or 1.5 inches away from my bust. Then the length here is 6. So I use 6 downwards, and upward it was, I think, about 5 or 5.5. So now I will go ahead and just make the darts. You may not be able to see this clearly because I'm using my chalk, but just go ahead and make your darts, or just locate your darts on this. If you're enjoying this tutorial, please kindly click on that like button. Thank you. So this is what I have. Then let me move it downward so that we can continue with the lower part of this. Please, when you are moving this, ensure you don't like the moving does not affect the measurement, because my moving affected my measurement, but thank God I was able to notice on time, so I made corrections to this. So now we'll be transferring the hip measurement downward, and we'll be shaping the pencil because this gown is like a pencil gown. So we'll measure our hip downward and we'll shape this. So this line is my knee line, is my knee length line. So I will measure my hip divided by 4 plus my sewing allowance, and at this edge also my knee length divided by 4 plus the sewing allowance. Knee length divided by 4 plus the sewing allowance. So what I did right now is to measure 4 inches below my hip line. So I want to shape a pencil. I want to shape this gown pencil. So I dropped a tutorial recently on how to sew a pencil skirt, like, so that's the method I'm using right now. So I want to connect the point I measured earlier first. So I like to connect the point first so that I can see what I'm taking away from the measurement. So now I will be blending this. This is 4 inches away from the hip line. Then I will be I took out half inch on this 4 inches that I went down by. So I took out half inches there. Then I'll be blending it towards 1 inches at the knee line. As you can see that it was half inches here, then it is 1 inch here. Then I'll just maintain the 1 inch downward. So I'll maintain the 1 inch downward, or you can do 1¼ inch, but don't, except you want your gown to be very pencil. So I just maintain the 1 inch downward. So that's what I'll be taking out right now. So now, since I've measured everything, I'll go ahead now and just cut. So I was trying to cross check the measurement if it has not changed, and it did not change. So I'll go ahead and cut. So this is what the front looks like. So this is it. So this is the front. So let's go ahead now and make the bust dart. So the difference between the half length, my half length, that is the front, and my back half length is 1 inch. So that's why I'm taking 1 inch here. So if the difference between yours is more than 1, please measure the difference. So my half length for the front is 15.5, and the half length for the back is 14.5. So that's 1 inch's difference. So that's why I'm taking 1 inch for my bust dart here, or my side dart. So now I'm inserting a pin here at the dart because I want to transfer the dart to the other side, so that when I'm taking the dart, it will be very easy for me. Let's move over to the back bodice. So this is my back bodice, and I've also folded this. So I folded this into 2. So the first thing I'll be doing is to take my zipper allowance at the back. So I'm using 1 inch. So I'll just go ahead and take that. So after that, the next thing I will do now is to take the 2 inches. As you can see that there's a line below that 2 inches, which is the starting line. Then I took out 2 inches here. That's for the hemming. You know, we added 2 inches for the back too. So now you go ahead and measure the back. So the back should be 1 inch shorter than the front. This is because my half length is 1 inch shorter. So the back should be 1 inch shorter than the front. Like I explained, my half length for the back is 14.5 and the front is 15.5. So the back is quite shorter, just 1 inch shorter. So I'm sorry I did not show you what I was measuring here, but I was measuring the armhole. So let me show you. So I'm still extending this zipper allowance upward first. So this is still the zipper allowance. So this line that I measured right here is my armhole, which is 7 inches. So for the bag, it is starting from the armhole length, which is 7 inches, but I use 6.5. That is because when I sew with half inch, I'll be back to 7. So locate your half length. That's my half length is 14.5. Then I will count 8 inches downward to locate my hip. So from the first line at the top is your armhole, but you deduct half inch from your armhole. Then the next line is your half length. Mine is 14.5. Then I counted 8 inches downward for my hip line. So yours may not be the same as mine. Please take note. So at that hip area, I've measured my hip divided by 4 plus 1 plus the sewing allowance. Then at this part here, I'll measure my bust divided by 4 plus the sewing allowance I'm using. Please, when you are measuring, make sure you are taking the measurement after the zipper allowance. After the zipper allowance. So I'm trying to confirm what I took out here and it was correct. So yeah, this is my waist. You measure your waist divided by 4, your dart allowance, and your sewing allowance. So because I want to take half inch here to prevent the bulging at the zipper area, so I added this back to the waist area. So I'll be taking out half inch at the waist area at the zipper side to prevent zip bulging. So now I'm connecting my waist to my hip and my waist to my bust. So let me take out this. So this is what I'm taking out, just half inch there. Then you just connect it downward a little bit. So this is what it looks like. So let me move this upward for me to take the other measurements. Before I do that, let me take out my dart. So when you want to take out the dart for the back, please consider the zipper allowance first. Measure the zipper allowance, then after that you measure your nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. So whatsoever you have there. So I think I measured about 6 inches upward and 6 inches downward from the waist area to locate the dart there. So this is about 6 inches upward and 6 inches downward. So that's my dart. So let's move this upward. So I'll measure my hip divided by 4. That's after the zipper allowance. Then I will add my sewing allowance. My hip divided by 4 and then the sewing allowance. So let me connect it straight first. Then I will shape it for the pencil gown. So I'll measure 4 inches below this. Then I will blend this in from the hip. So about half inches on that 4 inches line, half inches inward. Then I'll do 1 inches by the side. Then I'll just keep blending it downward like that. But because I want to take some at the zipper area, so I'll be using 3/4 for this side. I'll be using 3/4 for this side. Then I'll be taking half inch at this other side. So I'll measure 4 inches here also. 4 inches here. Then I will just take half inch. As you can see what I'm doing, I'm just blending it with half inch downward like that. Just half inch downward like that. So I reduced what I was supposed to take at this side. So the remaining part I took it at the zipper area. If you don't understand this, I have a tutorial where I explain how to draft a fitted pencil skirt. So it can help you when you want to cut a gown too. So you can just let me know in the comment section and I will send you the link to that tutorial. So that will help you to understand what I'm trying to do here. So this is what I have after cutting. As you can see, that side, that zipper side, the shape that is bringing out there. So when I put on this gown, it will bring out that shape, like the butt will sit inside it. So I'm transferring the dart to the back. Then I will remove this. So we are done with the cutting of the back also. So now I will be sewing this part here. This is because there's no slit at the back, at the center back. So the slits will be at the side of the front, like it will be at the front. So I will close up the back. So this is what I have after taking the dart for the front. Now let's locate where the slit will be. So you fold your bodice like this. Then depending on which side you want the slit to be, so you can flip this to the other side or just use the side depending on where you want it to be. If you want it to be at the right, just determine this on your fabric. So I'll measure my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2, which is 3.5. So that's where the dart point is also. So I'll just measure it downwards. So I'll rule a line downwards, just like this. So this is what the line looks like. So the next thing I want to do is to locate where my knee length is. So this was what I wanted to use before, then I noticed it was my hip line. So I will correct that. So this is my hip line. So this line after it is my knee length. So this slit, depending on how high you want it, from the inspiration it was very high, but for me I just use 6 inches above my knee length. So you can still do 8 inches, 10 inches, depending on how high you want it. For me, I use 6 inches above my knee length. So that's the 6 inches over there. So now I will shape this in such a way that I'll just draw a curve, and I'll take half inch at both side of the line, half inch to the right, half inch to the left. We ruled out a line there before. So I'll take half inch to the right, half inch to the left. So I'm trying to see if this will be at the right side, like where I want the slit to be, at the left side. So now, after I was sure of where I want the slit to be, then I went ahead to cut it out. So if you don't want your slit to be at this side, the same thing you did here, you will also do it at the side you want it to be. So now this is the strap I'm using. So depending, for you to know the length of this strap, for the back we use 7 inches, and for the front we use 6 inches. So just add them together, then you deduct 2 inches from it. So my half length, my upper bust at the front was 6 inches, while for the back I used my armhole, which was 7 inches. So you add this together, which is, that's 13 inches. Then I deducted 2 inches from it, so I used 11 inches. Then I added the half inch to join it back to the bodies. I hope you understand, just half inch to join it back. So I have 12 inches altogether for the length of that strap. So this is the flare I cut out for the front. So there's this ruffles at the front, so it is a flare. So you cut out a 360-degree flare. So what I did was to make sure I cut out more than what I have at that front. So more than what I have there, I will be making gathers. So you may not want to make gathers at yours, you may just want to leave it like that, but I want to make gathers there, so that's why I cut it out. And you may like, as you can see, that I have a joining here. So if yours will also have this joining, make sure it's by the side, not that the joining is not at the front. So make sure the joining is by the side. So these are the ruffles I will be using, like the fabric I'll be using for the ruffles. We have 2 ruffles, the one at the slit and the one at the waist. So let me tell you the measurement of this. I think this is about 4 inches wide, and the length is depending on how much fabric you have left. So I just cut this out, then I'll be making the ruffles. So if I'll just make it full, like at least cut times 3 of the measurement there. So let's say the waist area, measure it, then you cut times 3. So this other fabric was the one that I was supposed to use for the side. If you look at the inspiration, there is one ruffles by the side, but I did not use it because when I weave this, I use another color of thread to weave this, and I don't like how the color is showing, so I decided to leave it out. So this is the main bodice, and I've went ahead to join it up to like the close to the waist area. So the ruffles we have at the waist will be starting at the waist here, so at one side of the waist, then it will be stopping at the hip area, like the hip region. So this is what the ruffles is looking like. So I've hemmed the ruffles, then I've made, like, as you can see, the gathers there. So this is how it will be. As you can see that this ruffles is even more than, so you can still like pleat it, or you can cut it away if it will be too much. So I'm just trying to roll this line on it. I'm rolling on the right side of the fabric. That's why I'm very careful, so that I'm sure of what I'm doing. So you connect from the waist to the hip area. So I've also fixed this side here. So I fixed the ruffles at this side. So after fixing, I top stitch round the edge. I top stitch round the edge. So this is this other part. So it is the steam iron that is making this fabric to look like this. So I've also fixed that other side too. And for this side, like I said, this strap sleeve, like you measure what you have at the front, like what you took out at the front and what you took out at the back. You take away 2 inches from it, then you fix it, like then you add the sewing allowance to it, like ½ inch to join it. We'll be sewing this with ½ inch. So mine was 11 inches after I added the front and the back together, and I deducted 2 inches. So now when you are fixing the strap, I first fix it to the front and I noticed it to be wrong, so you fix it at the back. So the point where you'll be fixing is 10 inches. 10 inches, like the distance between the two straps should be 10 inches, both for the front and the back. The distance is 10 inches. Then you fix it at the back. This is because we want to add these ruffles. So when we add these ruffles will also be added at the back. Make sure the right side is facing the wrong side of the main bodice, that is of the gown. The ruffles right side is facing the gown wrong side. So then you pin. So I'm pinning the center front, I'm pinning the side. This is because I have a joining at the side, so I want the joining to be exactly by the side. So I'll be pinning this. Like I said, my ruffles, like the flare I have here is modern, so I want to pleat it. I'll be making like a little bit of gathers there. So when you fix this like this, so when I sew, this will now fall to the front. I hope you understand. So it will fall to the front after sewing. So that strap will now be in between. Sure you get? The strap will now be in between. So this is the gown after I was done, and this is the gathers I made. So I top stitch this. Make sure you top stitch this. So I top stitch inward, and this is what it is looking like. So this is what my strap is looking like. So this is, I noticed that this thing was like rolled, so I'll iron this out to straighten it. So this is what the gown is looking like. So guys, I've joined this downwards. If you look at this ruffles at the waist, so the waist side is at the slit side. So I'll go ahead and hem this, then I will also fix my zipper. So that's the only thing remaining. So I'll go ahead and fix my zipper. Then this is the outcome of the gown. So thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, like this video, share this video with your friends, drop a comment for me in the comment section. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye.